How cool is that? Welcome everybody to the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. Guess what I got in the mail yesterday? You'll never guess. You'll never guess. A Blackstone griddle, maybe? How cool is that? Smash burgers. Hey, welcome to the show. We're brought to you by Michelin Defender LTX, the best truck tire you can get for your truck, van, SUV. Trust only one tire on your car, and that's Michelin. We're also brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, David Bosca, and all the great products available nationwide, online, and at a retailer near you. Butcher Barbecue products will put you in the winner's circle at your competition and in your backyard. Trust your butcher. Folks, you can follow Owl's Nest Barbecue on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just look for the Owl's Nest Barbecue logo, and also check out the podcast. All the shows now are on podcast on Spotify, so you can listen on your way to work if you didn't get a chance to watch. And I appreciate you hitting up Spotify and just hit the button, do a search, Owl's Nest Barbecue. We'll be right there. We are the broadcast partner with Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook page. Go to the page on Facebook and get all your answers and information on grilling, smoking, and all things live fire and backyard barbecue. That's Backyard Smokers Facebook page on Facebook, the broadcast partner of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. And as usual, my friend and colleague Jeff Maxwell is at home monitoring the chat, and he will make you feel as welcome as a stewardess on a 737. I promise you. What's up, everybody? Now listen, I got to tell you something before we go to our guest. We are under I'm not going to say a tornado watch or warning, but we're under a really bad weather warning right now. We're in that cusp of it could be 30% chance for tornado, 15%. We're right on the line. And the studio is in the bonus room, which is the highest part of my house. So if by chance you're watching and then all of a sudden I say goodbye, everyone, you'll know what's happening. The tornado is coming. And if this house decides to do a Wizard of Oz, unfortunately, folks, I'm going to have to go to the pantry. So just watch, and it might be this could be a very good show, or if the tornado, it may be the greatest show ever shown on YouTube since a human sacrifice. So stay with us. But right now, we are going to go to... Good night. Sleep. There he is. Everybody, guess who that is? That's Will Hare from Bartlett, Tennessee. And if that name sounds familiar to you, Will Hare is the 2018 and 2019 Memphis Barbecue Network Team of the Year, Smoke Masters. And that's a big deal, isn't it, Will?
We like to think so.
Yeah, it is a big deal. In his spare time, when he's not producing videos for his YouTube channel, Queuing with Uncle Woo, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that name, too. Will's a locksmith at St. Jude Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the most wonderful places on this earth. And welcome to the show, Will Hare from Bartlett, Tennessee, just outside Memphis. What's up, buddy?
Not a lot, Steve. Thanks for having us on, man.
Man, we got a bunch of people joining us. We got Kyle Kedrick. He's my banker. My banker is watching.
It's never a bad thing.
No, so that's good. Al Selvage is watching. I know, Al. I played my video of the smash burger. Did you see that, Will?
I did.
Yeah,
I like that spatula. I gotta get me one of those.
That's that's made by Barbecue Hack.
Okay.
Look them up. If everybody wants to cruise online and look up Barbecue Hack. I ordered that thing. Man, that thing weighs about a pound. It's a 12 gauge steel. It's got a beveled end on it, so it scoops up real good. It's the real deal as far as smash burgers. My friend Carl Sodergren is watching, and we appreciate you guys joining us. This is Will Hare from Bartlett, Tennessee. Yeah. Will is a pit master of Smoke Masters barbecue team, and he competes. Will, should I say mostly in the NBN?
Mostly, yeah. We do pretty much all the NBN contests that are out there. Every once in a while we'll miss one, but only if there's one in a competing on a competing weekend. But yeah, we try to hit them all. We do sprinkle in a few KCBS contests when we can, but especially this year with everything that looks like it's going to be crammed into 3 or 4 or 5 months at the end of the year. It's probably going to be tricky to see what all we can fit in there. But yeah, we primarily MVN. We do a little bit of KCBS and throw a little GBA in there every once in a while. Taking a look at this new, I call it new. It's new to me. The IBCA stuff, but don't know a whole lot about it yet. But looking to learn, so we'll see.
That's down in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Mm-hmm. That's those guys are good. Those guys are good. But
I'm gonna have to beef up my brisket game.
But
I'm not a beef guy.
But
up here in Memphis, barbecue is pork. So
when you talk about the Memphis Barbecue Network, you're talking about an old style of cooking, one of the first contest circuits, I guess, that was ever put together. And you're talking about a whole hog. Now, and for everybody watching this, when I've been in one MBN contest, and I've told several people this story. Will I'll tell you,
sure.
when we were there in Chattanooga, they had it. When Heath Riles and all those guys pulled up in their rigs, it was, I'm not kidding, it was a sight to behold, because you knew that you weren't in Kansas anymore.
The teams that are hauling around whole hog cookers, we do tend to break the rules as far as standard barbecue rigs are concerned. We're in the 30-40 foot range depending on who you're looking at, but a lot of times it takes that much room to be able to fit those cookers, and not only fit those cookers, be able to balance them out, because generally they're on the back end of a cooking trailer, and you put 5,000 pounds on the end, you got to have a lot in the front end to balance it out to keep it from tearing up axles and stuff. So.
And the thing about it is, what separates it, well, one of the main things, or the biggest thing that separates it from others, is it's a whole hog contest.
MBN's one of the only left that are cooking, or that ever has, for my knowledge. I'm sure there's other organizations out there that have done them, but MBN is the only one that whole hog is a standard fixture.
And now, Will, the ones I saw in my short experience with them, the guys were cooking 2 hogs. Do you cook 2?
It depends a lot on the contest. Generally, we only cook 1. We cook on a Brackwoods Pro Comp hog smoker, which is one of the bigger out there, and my grill surface actually has a what they call a carousel on it. So, which a lot of them do now. The Old Hickory's come out with one too, where I can actually turn my hog 180 degrees, so I can pull samples for a blind box off one side, and then when I final, I can spin it around and it looks just like a brand new hog. So it keeps you from having to cook 2 separate pigs. Now, contests like Memphis in May or possibly the Big Pig Jig, some of those bigger contests where you're having to, at Memphis in May specifically, where you've got to feed 3 on sites, build a blind box, and then if you're lucky enough to final, you've got to feed another 4 finals judges. That's a lot to do on 1 pig. So my loins are pretty much blown out by the time that the finals judges get there. So we did cook a second pig at Memphis in May this year. And it worked out for us, as you can see.
Yeah, tell me about that.
We didn't walk away with it, but that's second place, which at a contest as big as Memphis in May, I'll be okay with.
It's funny when I start talking barbecue at my little supply store here in Ooltewah. Somebody will walk in, and they're not a barbecue person, or as far as a competition person, they're a backyard. But usually the first thing out of their mouth is, "Oh, you do competitions?" "Yeah." "Have you ever cooked Memphis in May?" I said, "No, I've never." I said, I don't do that. And they look at you funny because they don't know the difference between.
Well,
Memphis.
you got the Tennessee curse there. You're in Tennessee, so everybody knows what Memphis in May is.
And then the next thing out of their mouth is always, "Oh, well, I've got an uncle that won it." And I'm thinking, no, you don't.
Now, move to Memphis or come hang out with me on a weekend. Let's go to a barbecue restaurant and hear that same conversation. You'll hear five or six different guys. "Oh, my grandfather's uncle's brother's second cousin won it." Yeah, they won it back in 1982 when there were 9 teams.
Yeah. And I told one lady, I said, "No, he didn't." I said, what was your uncle's name? And she said, I don't know, Herb Goldmeyer. Or so I said, no, he didn't. I said, he didn't win nothing. And Memphis in May has got such I guess because it's easy to say Memphis in May, Memphis in May, that it's got such a stature, not only in the barbecue community, but in the food community.
Yeah, they call it the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest. And the reason, little Memphis May trivia for you, the reason they get the title of World Championship is because there's more meat per pound cooked at the Memphis and May World Championship than there are at the Royal or at the Jack or the Pig Jig, any of the rest of those contests. And a lot of that has to do with you've got 30 or 40 whole hog teams, and we're throwing down. If I cook 2 pigs, that's 300 pounds of meat just in my 2 pigs. So
Yeah.
that's not considering meat we're cooking to feed sponsors or shoulder teams cooking 10 or 15 shoulders to make sure they have the right one. There is a literal ton of meat that gets cooked down there. So that's why that it originally got the number of World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest was the sheer amount of meat that was cooked down there.
Will, do you have to be invited to the Memphis in May, or do you qualify for it?
It's not a qualifier. It's an open contest. Now I will say this, that they do like to tell you that you've got to apply and be accepted. Mm-hmm. And there is a pro division and a backyard division. And since about, somebody else will be able to tell you the year better than I will, but since they expanded Tom Lee Park, which is the venue, or up until now has been the venue for Memphis and May, that's a whole nother story. They're trying to mess with our park, but it was expanded in, I want to say 91, might have been 92. They did some dredging on the river and added a lot of dirt to the actual riverbank and enlarged the size of the park. And at that point, it really became less of how good you were or what you had won and whether or not you were going to be accepted as to, whether you could afford the fees and signed up in time and get down there, because they may turn teams away, but I haven't heard of anybody being turned away in a while.
Now, I've heard all kinds of astronomical figures. How much does it cost to enter Memphis in May?
It depends on how you do it. It's you can enter for as little as, I think the smaller spots are in the $1,500 to $2,500 range for a site, which is that's high for a contest entry fee. But for a world championship event like Memphis in May, and now I'm talking on the pro side too. I don't have a bearing on the backyard side. I don't know what those guys pay. I've never entered that realm. When we started with Memphis in May, we were already a pro team. So, but I know the smaller pro sites, and they sell it by square footage down there. If you get a 10 by 15 or a 10 by 20, you're spending $1,500, $2,500 for your site now, and then you're going to charge you for electricity, and you're going to pay for your scaffolding and your porta johns and all that all the other fun stuff that we always pay for when we go to a contest. But we picked up a sponsor back in, I want to say it was 2012. We've been sponsored by Microsoft for about the past 7 or 8 years, and
Microsoft.
Yes, sir. Microsoft.
I didn't know Bill Gates Bill Gates was a barbecue fan.
This was the local Memphis version of Microsoft, or the local Memphis. I don't know if you want to say chapter or organization, but they used it as a vendor appreciation event. We would, for the 3 or 4 days before the actual contest started, we would cater for their vendors, and they'd bring their vendors in, and they bought the biggest site in the park and put up a 2-story scaffolding, and we parked our big trailer behind the scaffolding, and Memphis and May just kind of got built around. There's 4 or 5 big sponsor teams that'll come in there and build their stuff, a few days before everybody else gets in there, simply because we have to park our rigs in there before all the construction starts, because if we don't, we'll never get them in. Mm-hmm. But I want to say, after everything was said and done, the price tag, I think, was somewhere in the range of $45,000.
Whoa!
Now that's purely from the catering standpoint.
Yeah.
You got meat and scaffolding and carpeting and all the catering and drinks and alcohol and all the good stuff that goes into being able to feed 600 or 800 people in the
So,
course of 4 days.
so
So
needless to
it's
say, Memphis in May is at a different level than most contests.
I I will say this: I've never had the pleasure of going to the Jack or the Royal. I had plans to go this year,
Hmm.
at least to check it out. If not to get the chance to compete. Of course, you got to qualify for that kind of stuff. But that's kind of on my bucket list. I was shooting for that kind of stuff this
So,
year.
so
But
that trophy behind you, what is the significance of that? How did you get that?
that's second place whole hog. That was the one we won this year, 2019, excuse me.
So you won it
Um,
in 2019?
yes, sir. The last Memphis in May.
Hmm.
We we finaled and we came in. We missed out of first place whole hog, in the whole hog category by 1/100th of a point.
Who beat you?
Um, Group of guys called Hometown Smokers.
Okay.
Good group of guys. I don't have anything against them.
Yeah.
They just happened to pull
Oh
that
yeah.
.01
Oh
better
yeah.
than I did.
That's
They're really good about it, reminding me every time I see them too. So it's
they got
there's
T-shirts
a
made up
camaraderie.
one
Oh,
100th.
our T-shirt this year was going to have a big .01 on the back of it. So we'll hopefully when this thing happens in September or October, we won't be hunting for that
And they
.01 when it's all
and
said and
they
done.
Scott Stennett, your buddy, joined in and said
Yeah.
Memphis in September. Is it? Have they set a date?
September, I believe, is the right word.
September.
The tentative dates now. Of course, we'll have to see how this whole virus thing plays out. Hopefully, it'll be long gone by then. Tentative dates right now, I believe, are September 30th to October 3rd. It's that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday that
Hmm.
happens to fall right at the end of the month. Scott can actually probably give you the exact dates. He's probably got them in front of him. I don't.
Yeah. Let's do something a little bit different here. Hold on, I'm gonna turn around real quick.
Sure. YouTube.
Yeah. Hang on. Let's do this. Now I want you to tell me about this. This is Will Hare, and I've got the sound turned down, Will, so you can narrate.
Okay.
And tell everyone what you are making in this video
This
because
is a barbecued egg roll. It's a beef egg roll.
an
We
egg
had
roll.
smoked a chuck roast. My
Hmm.
wife likes to call it poor man's brisket. We had smoked a chuck roast a few days before and had some left over, and so we chopped it up, and that's what's in that bowl right there, and mixed it in with some corn and black beans and diced tomatoes and chilies,
Now,
and
hold on a minute,
wrapped
hold
it
on a
in
minute,
egg
hold
roll.
on a minute. Where did you get your egg roll at?
The wrapper.
The square thing.
The grocery store.
Well,
They sell them in the grocery store.
yeah.
It's usually in with your in your produce departments, in where you find your.
Well, it was funny because when I saw the video on your YouTube channel, I got excited because
Mhm,
I've been experimenting with egg rolls, and the
mhm.
egg rolls I found are round. And now, did you have to put this one in water to
But
soften it
no,
up?
no, you're talking about a spring roll wrapper. That
Okay, is that different?
yeah, it's different. Spring roll
Okay.
wrapper is a rice paper wrapper, and you actually have to soak it and get it pliable, and then you wrap it with whatever you're going to stuff
Well,
inside of it.
then
Now,
that's
an
why
egg
mine
roll.
didn't come out as good as yours did. Then.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
All right. All right.
they're different animals.
Now let's see.
The
What
egg
what
roll
did you do
wrapper
there?
is.
You put butter or egg on
Yeah,
the
it's an egg
sides.
wash. It just acts like a glue.
Uh huh.
And everybody's got a different way to wrap it. I've met some guys that only use the egg wash once they've already sealed it up. They'll wash the outside of it, but
Hmm.
I use it on the inside corners, and that way when I roll it up, as you see right there, it's all sealed in one nice little package. So it's done at that point. It's just waiting for me to drop it in the fryer.
And so that's a pretty nice fryer you got. What kind of fryer is that?
That is a Emerald Lagasse put those out a few years ago. Sold them through Costco. It's I believe it's a copy of Cuisinart's version, because I had a Cuisinart that was just about exactly the same. But
But now it's a real fryer. It's not an air
oh, yes,
fryer.
sir. No, it's an actual deep fryer. It's full of oil. Well,
Okay.
I wouldn't say full. It's got about probably 2 3 quarts of oil in it right
Yeah.
now. But yeah, it cranks up to 375 in about 6 or 7 minutes, and Does a great job on egg rolls.
So that's where I made my mistake. I got a spring roll instead of an egg roll.
Yeah, I've done spring rolls before and they work, but they're a whole lot less forgiving than these egg roll
Yeah,
wrappers.
yeah.
The
That's what
yeah, the pastry versions that I'm using there, those egg roll wrappers, man, you can tear a hole in them and just kind of pinch them together and they'll still survive and work just fine. The rice paper, once it tears, you might as well start over.
yeah. Well, I know you in your neighborhood, you're the handiest guy around because every time somebody locks their keys out of their house, they go, "Hey, Will, can you bring that little kit down here and break into my house for me?" And I know how you
Membership
guys.
does have its privileges.
Yeah, I was an amateur. I was back when I was running records. I was a amateur locksmith, and
You find that a lot with record drivers.
yeah,
That's
and
part of the territory.
you get a lot of friends, especially in the neighborhood.
Yep.
What's your background though? Were you you got like a culinary training, or how'd you get
No,
into this?
I grew up like a lot of the guys down around here. Dad, burning hamburgers on the grill on the weekends
Yeah,
and boiling chunks of baby back ribs for 4th of July and
did you say
parboiling and then throwing them on the
boiling
grill.
baby rack ribs?
Yeah, yeah, boiling baby back ribs
Hmm.
and then throwing them on the grill to char up the
Yeah,
outsides. Yeah, I had a not so fine barbecue history behind me, but I'm one of those guys that when I decide to do something, I kind of jump into it with both feet, and that's what happened with barbecue. And luckily, I found out that I had a talent for it. So at least I like to think I do.
well,
I'll let the trophies speak
you're
for
well
themselves on
known. I
that.
mean, I was a couple of weeks ago. I was doing the show and I saw you were watching, and
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but I didn't know who Will Hare was. And then somebody, I think it was Scott, somebody after the show messaged me and goes, "Hey man, Will Hare was watching." I said, "That's great. What's he do?" He goes, "What's he do? You idiot!" And because
Well,
I
no,
don't follow
that's
MBN. That's the only reason.
and that's a lot of it. In the NBN circuit, a lot of the guys know who I am, but I don't have I don't have a lot of name behind me. I haven't been doing this as long as a lot of the guys on the circuit. There's guys out there that make me look like a newbie every time I walk out. I mean, you look at guys like I think you've had Heath on.
Hmm.
He's been doing this 20 25 years, a lot longer than I have. But we got
I
into it.
loved listening to. I got the pleasure of interviewing Tuffy Stone a few years ago up to Jack, and he was telling us Myron Mixon stories, and I love hearing him tell me the Myron Mixon stories when Myron used to do all of his MB. I think it was Memphis and May Network wanted it back then. You
Yeah, it
know,
was MBN started as Memphis and May. It kind
yeah,
of split, and then Memphis and May runs Memphis and May, and that's it. And
yeah.
MBN took the rest of the
But
contest and moved forward.
that's where he was competing, I believe, heavily in those days, or his early days, were the whole hog
Mhm.
contest, and it was just to listen to those stories about him were fascinating. But I just think what you guys do is just such on a bigger level. It's more I don't know, more American barbecue. You got to really really well to craft to do those whole hogs like y'all do them. It fascinated me. I spent more time watching Heath at that contest than I probably I should have been tending my own stuff. But it's so interesting watching the prep and the time and
There's
what
a
go
lot that goes into it.
yeah, and just for a contest and but the ones that win are just they're like machines. You guys are it's just it's one of my favorite barbecue pitmasters videos is the big pig jig when they're down there and
Mhm.
watching Robbie meet Myron and all the showbiz kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
that's
we went
stu-
to the Big Jig for the first time this year. I got a chance to go to Georgia, and we were actually chasing points. I was 2 points behind Heath when we went into the Big Jig,
hmm
and I took fifth place in hog, and actually came out with a perfect rib score. It was the very first perfect rib score I had ever had. I had a perfect 600 and took ended up taking second place in ribs down there,
hmm
and uh, came in right behind Lonnie with Bubba Grills.
yeah.
Somebody's going to shoot me, but I don't remember Lonnie's
I
last
know
name,
he was
which I
on that
should. I
he was on
should.
that
He's
one
a
Smoked or something like that. He's a really funny guy. Um,
exactly Lonnie's
what
good, but yeah.
so you didn't grow up in the restaurant business, or you didn't?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I've got some friends in the restaurant business, and I've kind of floated in and around it. I did the stint at waiting tables like everybody does when they're
Mm-hmm.
in college, and got a little bit of it. But I learned pretty quick that restaurant business is a lot of work. Um, Not saying that what we do, cooking whole hogs, is not a lot of work, but when I get done on a Saturday afternoon, I can pack up the trailer and go home. When you're running a restaurant, it's with you 24/7. So that's not something I ever, or at least not at this point, have decided to do. So
I know the KCBS contest count is down over the last couple of years. How many MBN contest dates are there now in a season?
I think last year, I think it was 17, and I think this year we were up into the 20s
Good.
before everything started happening, of course.
Yeah.
But we've picked up a few this year with a lot of the turmoil that's going on in KCBS right now, and I won't get into that because, I'm quite honest with you, I don't understand a lot of it.
I don't
But
either.
I know it's political.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from the political side of stuff.
Politics and barbecue
I know
have always.
they
I've
don't
never
mix. They
understood
don't
that. I don't
mix.
understand it. How important? I mean,
But
it's barbecue. How important could it be?
exactly. Barbecue is life, don't you know?
Yeah. So you'll sprinkle in a couple KCBS
Yeah, we had actually
contests in there.
signed up for Nashville Smoking on the Water,
Yeah.
and then we had also signed up for. There's one up on the Tennessee River, and the name escapes me right now, and I hate that.
What town is it in?
It was right outside of Nashville, and it's escaping me, and I hate that because the lady was so nice, the one I dealt with when we signed up for it, and we actually, before all the virus stuff started happening, because MBN had picked up a few more contests, the schedules kind of shifted around, and I had to cancel that, and I had to cancel that KCBS because I'm constantly chasing points in the MBN. So if there's a contest, I need to be at it. So we had canceled that one, and then I think it was a week and a half later, everything started dropping like flies. So hopefully,
Yeah,
things
it's
will go
really
pretty soon.
it's really sad. We had a spring full of events here in our little local town here in Ooltewah. We have a little contest, and all those got canceled. Then we just found out yesterday or the day before the honeybee contest, which is in its second pro year or second KCBS year. It was a great contest last year. They just finally announced that they were having to cancel it, and there was a KCBS barbecue days scheduled for Memorial Day weekend where some teams were going to go to Bass Pro Shops and cook and kind of just do a goodwill, cook and give out free barbecue and do
Nice.
demonstrations. Yeah, and we were going to do that here in Chattanooga, and I just found out 3 days ago that it's been canceled. So
Man.
that puts us up to June 1st without any events.
Yeah.
Have you
We're-
has
we've got
NBN
one
announced?
scheduled-
They announced what they're going to shoot for the first one as the first one.
Well, right now everything is canceled up to the end of May. There's the world's oldest barbecue competition, which is the name of the contest. I don't know if they actually can provide the paperwork to back up the fact that they're the oldest competition or not, but they're in Covington, Tennessee, right outside of Dyersburg, and they're scheduled for, I believe, the last week in May, and they have not canceled yet. So right now, as we sit right now, it looks like they may be the first unless things continue as they're going. And the closer we get, I'm sure they'll make a decision on that. But then the next one is the gentleman you're talking to online there, Scott Sennett, his hometown, Galax, Virginia. It's up in right outside of Bells. I mean, not Bells. Right outside of Bristol, Tennessee, just the other side of the state line up there in the mountains of Galax, up in the what's that? What do they call it? Blue Ridge.
Blue
I can't
Ridge.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blue Ridge Mountains. we've been twice now. This will be our third year to go back up there, provided everything still happens on schedule like it's going to. But I think my personal thought behind it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I get a little jaded because I do work in a hospital environment, and I work real closely with a bunch of infectious disease doctors that are,
Yeah.
world renowned for this kind of stuff. So I get the you talk to the guys that have a positive outlook on it, and then you talk to the guys that are trying to be positive yet still be a realist about it at the same time. And you don't want to crank things up too soon, because if you do, all you're going to end up with is a relapse that ends up hitting us again here in another month. So my hope is things are back to normal by the end of May, first part of June. Is that going to happen? Who knows?
Yeah, I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine trying to have a contest right now, and I think I'd say, well, you've got the Memphis in May, you've got the Jack. They had the Houston Rodeo. They did get that in.
Now here's the what's going to happen. That's going to be interesting to watch. You're going to end up with the trifecta.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with Memphis in May, the Jack, and the Royal all right on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And throw into that mix the Royal Oak Invitational, which we are a Royal Oak sponsored team this year. So
that is you talk about the red carpet being thrown at you guys.
I'll be honest with you, I was extremely honored to get the privilege to join that team this year. So
I was reading Jeff Thompson's post.
Really looking forward to it.
Do you know Jeff Thompson? Have you met Jeff?
Up in
Kingston?
I recognize the name, but I don't know that I've ever met.
He's a Royal Oak guy. And
okay.
oh gosh, I was reading his Facebook post when they had it. I just couldn't believe how well they treated you guys.
Man, yeah.
It was just unreal.
I will say this is my first year, so I didn't get to go last year, but I had some other friends that are on other teams that went, and they say it's just an amazing event. So I'm looking forward to going. Hopefully it's it's in and around a few other things that I can make it work. So
the thing
so I can make everything else work. I'll definitely be going to Roll Up contest.
And then you've got the World Food Championships in there too.
Yeah, and they're all going to be right on top of each other. So it's going to be. There are going to be a handful of us that are going to be buying new tires by the time that's over with. So,
I don't see. Well, I guess they'll just have to do it and say, if you can come. If you can't, we hate that. But see you next year. Hopefully, as the old saying goes.
I know we've got a full slate in the fall already as it sits, and then trying to reschedule everything that's canceled that is going to try to reschedule in and amongst those dates that are still open, and some of the smaller guys are going to get squashed out, which is a real sad thing to see happen, because a lot of these smaller contests are, they're big money makers for their cities and their towns and the organizations that throw them. So
I think
it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think the contests that they do have, I think the attendance will probably drop a little bit. People might say, the heck with it. We'll just get ready for next year.
Whoever's lucky enough to have the first one out there is going to be Katie Bar the Door.
Oh yeah, they'll be 200 teams.
They're ready to cook right now. I'm telling you.
Everybody will be itching to get in. You're right there. But I think as the season goes on, I don't know. Who knows? What do I know? Nobody knows. You can sit here and speculate all night. Because nobody's gone through this thing. Did you ever think it was going to get to this time where we are with all the cancellations?
No, honestly, I didn't. When I started, and there again, we work in the hospital, so when we started hearing chatter about it, it was all kind of, nobody really wanted to talk about it a whole lot, because it was kind of the elephant in the room that if things went the way they went, it could be a big problem, and it turns out that's exactly what's happened. So luckily, I work for an organization who has done a fantastic job of getting out ahead of it and protecting our patients and our employees. So I tell you, I can't be any happier with the way St. Jude has responded to everything. So it's been a really fantastic deal for us.
It's a top drawer organization. Well, yeah, they do one of those houses out here every year. They give
Mm-hmm.
away a house.
Ronald McDonald House.
No, it's
Oh, the Dream House. The
yeah,
Dream
Dream
House.
House, yeah, and that thing, that thing sells out in days. I
Well,
mean, when the
they do.
$100 a ticket, I mean,
Absolutely,
and
they
they're
do.
gone in
Yep.
3 or 4 days. They're gone.
Mm-hmm. It's a
It's
great
incredible.
fundraiser for the hospital.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's the support that they get. So let's talk about the Queuing with Uncle Woo YouTube channel. Now, I heard this story.
Seems like every time I talk to somebody, they
I
want to hear
think
the story
I
of
think
where
I
Uncle
saw
Lou
you.
came
I
from.
think I saw you on the Steve Dotson show from
Yeah.
West Virginia. That's the Steve Dotson show on Facebook. Catch it live on the Cooking Coach.
Yeah, cookout coach.
The Cookout Coach. He just passed 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'll give Steve a plug. One of the nicest guys out there. Tell us about how the name Queuing with Uncle Woo came about.
Well, you're always looking for a catchy name, a catchy title, something that'll be easy for everybody to remember and make them think of you when they hear it. So, about 17 years ago, my first niece was born, and about a year old, going on to a year old whenever kids start to learn to talk, she couldn't pronounce her L's, so Uncle Will became Uncle Woo, and lo and behold, a few of the guys on my team heard it, and once they heard it, it was done.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Woo.
I have been Uncle Woo ever since. So in the circles I travel in, I hear it all the time. So it's never never outside of the norm to pull up at a contest, and one of our other guys will show up and Uncle Woo. So it's just part of it.
I've got them. I've got
You
them playing.
You either try to duck it, or you embrace it and move forward. So
Yeah,
that's what I did.
I've got him playing in the background. There he is, right there. I don't know which episode that is. How many episodes have you got up now?
Be honest with you, I've lost count.
Now, who's
not
that
too
kid?
many. I think somewhere around a dozen. That's a buddy of mine. That's one of the other guys that calls me Uncle Woo. He's not a blood relative, but he's a good friend.
Yeah.
And we were actually prepping for what was going to be the Atoka barbecue competition in Atoka, Tennessee. They have a kids cook, and my buddy Wyatt and I were going to do. It's a burger and chicken cook. So we were making bacon burger sliders there. So. He, as you see, he's already got the tongue out of the side of the mouth, a pitmaster tongue hold mastered there. So
You got a set of ears on him too, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He's got them.
his mama's gonna have me for that one.
Oh, that's a cute kid. And I tell you what, that kid cookout stuff is great.
I haven't ever had children, so I haven't had the luxury of being involved in a lot of the kid cooks, but. When his mom and dad came and said that he had heard about the kid cook and he wanted to cook, I was all over it.
Oh, so good for you. Good
we jumped in it with both feet, and unfortunately, it got canceled. But hey, we'll be back at it next year.
I like watching those kids shows when you watch them cook. It's they're fearless.
Oh yeah.
They don't care about making a mistake. They just get in there and they're I guess it's the old saying, you can't fool me. I'm too ignorant.
Exactly.
And
that works well until you're like you see in the background there, until you pop open a PK and you're dealing with a 500-degree set of grill grates. That lack of fear thing can be a problem. So you got to kind of watch out.
So it's Queuing with Uncle Woo on YouTube. How many videos you got up now?
I think we're somewhere around a dozen right now.
Yeah.
We just put out barbecue egg rolls day before yesterday. We've got. I'm just finishing up the editing on beef short ribs. We did those this weekend into Monday, so I'm almost done with the editing on that. So it'll be up here pretty soon. We've got shrimp and grits coming up Saturday, and then Sunday probably going to end up being jambalaya, depending on how much shrimp I have left. So we'll see. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Got a smoked meatloaf going there too.
Yeah. So your horizon's really really expanded just from barbecue.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when we decided it was something we were gonna make a full-time hobby, it really kind of grew legs of its own. So the YouTube channel has done nothing more than kick it up into high gear. So luckily we've had enough downtime. The original thought behind it was we were going to do videos from each one of our contests this year, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where the YouTube channel was born. Was we wanted, because if you look at YouTube, Cosmo and a bunch of the other guys do films from KCBS events, but there's very, very little traction for the NBN on YouTube. So we wanted to give guys a little, a little insight as to what it's like to cook, with on-site presentations and finals presentations like we do in the NBN, and just kind of show everybody how that all worked. And
Now on your team, are you the spokesman when the judges come around?
Oh yeah,
Right.
I get the glory of presenting.
Yeah.
I don't cook it all always. I've got a couple guys that cook with me. Tyler Atkinson is one of my guys that cooks shoulders, and then I've got several guys that float in and out that cook ribs. My brother actually cooks with me a lot of the times. He's got a 2012 third place Memphis MA rib trophy, so he's got one that's just a little shorter than my second place behind me there, which is, I love to remind him of that. But him and Matt Gatewood, Craig Estes, a few of those guys that cook with me when they have the time.
Do the wives tag along too?
Sometimes, yeah. Mine is has become a pretty regular fixture, but that's one of the things that, as barbecue teams evolve, that happens. You get a lot of guys that all want to do it. At the age where we started doing things, and then guys get married and have kids, and kids get involved in different aspects of whatever they're doing sports wise, or scouts and baseball and soccer and all that good stuff. And barbecue tends to take a back seat, so a lot of my guys have drifted into dealing more with their families and kids right now, and that's I wouldn't have it any other way, because that's how it's supposed to be. But hopefully I'm able to carry it with me and the handful of guys that are still doing it for a while, and one of these days Smoke Masters will be back up to a 10 or 15 guy team. But until then, Uncle Woo's gonna handle it.
Have you gone up to Murfreesboro and done that one, 17th Street Barbecue?
I have not. That is the only NBN contest right now that I haven't cooked is Murfreesboro, and I had great plans to go up there this year. Normally it falls on the same day as the Delta State barbecue contest down in Cleveland, Mississippi, and Cleveland does a little inter-organization event with 4 of the contests inside of the organization. They do what's called the Delta Barbecue Battle. Elise Jenkins runs that set down there. She's also the president of the NBN, but that's kind of the Delta Barbecue Battle is kind of her baby. And there's 4 contests. It's Delta State Pig Picking, which is the contest at the university, and then there's Cleveland Oktoberfest. There's the Louisville Roast. And then there is Q on the Yazoo, which is in Greenwood, Mississippi. And those 4 contests, they do a points race in and amongst just those 4 contests. And the highest prelim score out of those 4 contests on the pro side brings home $5,000 and a
good payday.
What looks in the world like a wrestling belt. So it's a contest inside the contest. So
most of those barbecue guys talk like wrestlers. So
well, a lot of them do. So we've been chasing that the past few years, and because we've been chasing that, it's kept us away from Murfreesboro. But I was going to give Murfreesboro a shot this year, provided my first, because in the barbecue battle events, there's 4 of them, but you've only got to cook 3 to qualify. So I was going to hit the other 3 and then trek up to Murfreesboro for that.
Now,
but,
if you go to Murfreesboro,
we'll see how it plays out.
Are you going to do KCBS and NBN? You can do the double.
It's the dual. So yeah, I probably will. It'll be one of the opportunities I have to cook all both of them. We have South Haven down here, which is a couple weeks before Memphis in May every year, and it's usually a dual, but it's canceled this year. It's kind of a shame, because they had just spent a lot of money paving that venue for just for the barbecue competition. Because
I'll bet you about 4 years ago, there was a duel in Nashville. Were you there?
I was there. That was actually my first, the first contest I judged.
Oh, really?
Smoking on the Shore is the name of
Yeah,
that. National.
yeah. I had a friend
Yeah,
and I.
they had
We drove over. We didn't compete, but I wanted to see it. And boy, that was a who's who of
yeah, they had a lot of big teams there. A lot of
yeah.
big teams. I got that was my first. I was getting my MBN judges certification at that point in time, and I got to judge three teams on site for whole hog at that point, and it was at that point it was Victory Lane Barbecue, which was Heath Riles,
Yeah.
and Tin Bones, which was Mark West,
Mm-hmm.
and U-Bonds, which was
Gary. Yeah.
Gary
You know,
Roark, and that was
Gary let us come into the site and stand to the side and watch him do the presentation.
mhm.
And he didn't know
that was
me. He didn't know me
that
from
was the
Adam.
first time I had ever met Gary,
Mm-hmm.
and man, I tell you, getting to walk in and judge that guy. Um, I'm at a loss for words. I tell you, it's like you'd known him 100 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nicest fellow in the world. And I cook next to the guys at Yupon's every year up next at the Cleveland Oktoberfest, and I can't say enough good things about those guys. But Gary was a heck of a guy and a great loss to the barbecue community losing him. But
You know, I met him and
I got to give it to the Ubons guys. They have done
yeah,
everything
I
to
met him
carry
and he
on
made you feel like he'd known you 100
absolutely.
years. You know,
Absolutely,
just great.
make you feel like that you've been away 5 minutes if you hadn't seen
Mm-hmm.
him in 10 years. So
Yeah.
that was an interesting gentleman, and I only wish I had gotten to spend more time with him.
Well, I tell you what, Will Hare, you're an interesting guy too, and
Thank
I
you, sir.
appreciate you so much for joining us. I've got to run and make these women some dinner here before
Do it. I got to do the same thing myself.
they're looking at me through the door over there, going, "Dad, Dad,
Dinner time.
we're starving." You know, but God forbid they start to grill. You know,
I got you.
or that
I
little
got
one,
you.
she's going to get on my griddle, and I got to make sure she doesn't mess with that new griddle.
Nice. Got you a Blackstone. I saw. I've
Yeah,
got one myself. Real nice.
yeah, I'm just now getting into the griddle things. That's kind of that's what barbecue does. It's before I did it, I had no interest in food whatsoever, and then you start doing barbecue. I've been doing it about 7-8 years now, and then you kind of expand your horizons.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It'll roll you.
yeah,
You'll be making egg rolls before you know it.
well, I'm going to, and now I know what to do. See, I was
There you
fighting it,
go.
man. I was trying to make egg rolls out of spring rolls,
There
and
you
see, there's
go.
nobody here that could help me.
Well,
I
I'm
was on
glad
my
I was
own.
able to help.
Well, I'm glad I got your number in my iPhone now, Will. And so
I'm
if
hooked now.
if you ever
All
get a
right.
FaceTime from Steve Ray, you better answer. Okay.
I definitely will. Definitely will, Steve.
Will Hare, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having
We'll
me.
do this again. Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Take
Will
care.
Hare, Smoke Masters Barbecue Team from Bartlett, Tennessee, over near Memphis, Tennessee. What a great guy. What a super nice fellow. We're going to roll out of here, folks. Everybody, thank you for watching, and thank you so much for listening to the show. Don't forget, if you're in the Ooltewah area, Chattanooga area, my place is located right off of I-75 on exit 11 on the east side. We've got the Midnight Oil, a real working old-fashioned service station, and the Owl's Nest barbecue supply is right there. And we'd love for you to stop in, come see us. It's always fun to see the people that watch the show. And also, don't forget, we got a full range of rubs and sauces. And, of course, we've got Butcher Barbecue, and they've got you covered with flavors from the grilling addiction to the honey rub. Folks, trust your butcher. And we're going to get out of here. And everybody be safe. I hope these tornadoes have passed. Until next Thursday, everyone, good night and good luck. There it is. First smash burger on the new Blackstone grill. Let's do another one.